Jimi Disu right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Good morning to you, Lagos. Beautiful people of Lagos, good morning to you. Welcome to Daily Digest with Jimi Disu. I'm Sheriff Quadry. So yesterday I said we were going to talk about women in politics at the National Assembly, especially the Senate, where we have just 4 ladies at Senate, and what this means for our democracy, what this means for equal representation, and all of that. Yes, but I had to move that conversation to another day because there is another critical conversation that we should have. Because when I looked at everything, when I looked at the platter in front of me, and I was trying to put what should be where and everything, I found out that in the good old days, we had very vibrant civil society community, extremely vibrant civil society community that even if you're a politician, if the country is telling you that this is the way to go, and you want to be doing Olori Kunkun, the civil society would, once they come into that matter like this, you know that this is a conversation. Where is the civil society today? Who is speaking for Nigerians today? Who is genuinely interested in public interest, in the interest of the Nigerian people today? Because if Nigerians are saying we need more women in politics, we need more women in leadership positions, not a leadership position that, is just there, no direct impact on policies, no direct impact on policy implementation. They just give women some thing like that, as if let's just give them as so that say they have something. So I said, look, maybe the conversation should be, where is this class of people called civil society? How active are they today? What is their role? Yes, in fact, let's just start the show. I'm Sheriff Quadry. You can watch this show on Facebook and on YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is how you can watch this show on Facebook and on YouTube. If you belong to the civil society, please join the conversation, because I would come to you in a moment to get your thoughts. Because this thing is quite very important. I remember back in the day when, civil societies were very active. There was a whole conversation on radio that we wouldn't have a civil society representative sitting down and the other people. But now you can barely get them. You can barely see them. They're barely functional. Dr. Israel Egbeleye, the convener, Foundation for Collective Impact, is here in the studio with me. Dr. Egbeleye, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Sheriff. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
What's your thought about this conversation we want to have, the role of civil society in general? What's your thought about their role?
Thank you so much for the good job you're doing.
Thank you.
A very big thank you to Nigeria Info 99.3. Platforms like this have actually helped, to amplify the voices of Nigerians,
right? Especially
when it comes to democratic governance, and of course our own corporate existence as a people. First, the role of civil society in democratic governance cannot be overemphasized. Like you alluded to it in your opening remark, that back in the days, civil societies used to be very more visible. But there was a clear departure, especially in the last dispensation, where, I was referring to the Buhari's regime, where there were very blatant attempts and very brutal, state actors trying to repress and shrink that civic space. Yes. So, I do hope that.
But haven't we always had that? I mean, civil societies have always been very vocal and active in the face of repression by the state.
Yeah.
I mean, and they always still stand. They always still talk. They always still.
Okay, so I think the difference is, like I said the last time I shared this, I was here on this platform, that on one hand you have the government, and here you have the people, and then you have this lacuna. In the days, in the time of the military, what you do have then is, because the military regime is basically decrees, orders, and all that. So then there was more or less concerted effort. The civil society was able to come together faster, because then, of course, there was no other place for the civilians or other people to talk. So that was why it was a bit more visible, because what you had was either military, and the next thing was, of course. But it appears as if when we came into democracy, particularly at the resumption of this Fourth Republic, there are deliberate attempts now, by our government, especially using democratic institutions to repress the civic space. So directly to answer your question, yes, it appears that during military days, people were able to, should I say, mobilize themselves, come together better, right? And then most of them were even doing these things, whether within or outside.
That's right.
Outside the country, and making this impact. But when we came to 1999, back to this, okay, fine. 1999, 2007, I think it was even far better in terms of visibility. Where we had a clear departure and a very, very bad decline was during the Buhari's regime. Of course, you remember actions like Twitter ban. Remember things like just because the president's tweet was deleted, that's happened.
That happened, yes.
It's like
yes,
NSAS, and so many other things that ordinarily should not have a place in a democracy.
Let's go into this conversation, and I'm glad that you tracked back to 1999. Well, let's move forward a little. Let's look at the last 10 years, from 2015 to 2025. What do you think? Because I know a couple civil society organizations. What's the name now? Serap. I know this Samson Itodo's what's
Yaga
that?
Africa.
Yaga Africa, your organization, Connected Development, Hamzat,
Absolutely,
and EIE, and a couple. They are there. They are working. They work. The impact. I want to talk about the impact of their work and some others. What's the name of this? What's their name again? You know what? We know those that are working, but it used to be much more than this. They used to be more organized than this. They used to collaborate. They used to work together. What has been the impact of the civil society organization, the civil society really, in Nigeria's system of governance, policy making, policy enforcement, policy direction or redirection, pressure on policy makers in the last 10 years? Would you say that there's been an improvement, or there hasn't been?
Thank you so much. Of course, there has been very modest improvement. So I was making a case initially for the fact that so civil society involvement in this democratic experience is not just about raising awareness level alone or advocacy, right? Which is basically what we did post 1999, pre-1999. Yeah. So most times it was just more of agitation, protest, what have you. But we've evolved, right? So right now you talked about Yaga, for instance, organizations like Clean Foundation and all that. They are in that space of raising the consciousness, awareness, voter education, pre-election, election day management, post-election, and what have you. Of course, you soon have coalitions like the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room. You talked about Enough is Enough, which is also in that space. Then you move to budgetary intervention, state and federal government, public institution funds, like you have budget
foundation,
and something like a tracker. They are in that space. Then you go into human rights, protection. That's where you have SERAP. Then you talk about gender-based violence, where you have WADIC, that is a Women Advocacy Research Development Center. And of course, for organizations like mine, Foundation for Collective Impact, where we are mobilizing young people, for nation building. We're also looking at interventions in health, especially taking what's called medical outreaches to communities, underserved communities, right? So that our people can actually have access to healthcare. And of course, in intervention, sports, and all that. I want to identify young people who have talents, but they need sponsors. So you have a whole lot. So what I would say is that there's a progression. It's no longer protest right now. It is more of now strategy driven, right? It is now more of institutionalizing corporate governance into the business of civil society. As a matter of fact, I now tell advocates that civil societies should be run like businesses. Like then, it's just mere protest. People are just doing protest. So people should be encouraged that right now we're moving from protest to solution. We're moving from reaction to strategy. And of course, we're moving from donor-funded, donor-based agendas to community impact. Deep-rooted community impact, because that's where you were talking about, because it's all about impact, right? So at the end of the day, you have the Nigerian government, like I mentioned, ab initio on one side. You have the people on one side. The gap keeps widening, and then day by day, successive governments have been shrinking this space. One would expect that space for civil engagement should continue to should be widened. But every day there are systemic effort, deliberate attempt by government, to shrink the space.
Who can stop this attempt? Who can stop this effort? That you have raised, because I love the way you broke things down in terms of what societies are doing in different aspects of our life as a state. You talked about the budget, you talked about human rights, you talked about this, but all of these things still affect Nigerians till today as we speak. What has been the impact of advocacy in the health sector, for instance? What has been the impact of advocacy by civil society in employment, unemployment of the young people? What has been the impact of society in budget understanding? Now, let me just dive down a little bit. Again, for those who know this show very well, it's a discussion program, really. It's not like an interview like that. What I do understand about society organizations is that, like you said, they focus areas that they work on. Let's talk about budget and budgetary provisions. I know that Budget Foundation have done an amazing work in that regard. But guess what? Nigerians are not interested in budgetary provisions. They find it very boring. Now, for instance, you can use Tracker and look at what has been budgeted for your road.
Yeah.
Whether your road has been budgeted for, has it been done, has it been concluded, who got the contract? Well, guess what? Nobody cares. Still, nobody cares. Now, does this explain why we have not really? It's not that I'm having a rethink now. That could it be that it's not that the civil society is not active, but the fact that the people are not recognizing the effort of the civil society? Could that be a situation we're looking at here? I mean, look at SERAP. SERAP is in the news every day.
Yeah.
The same thing for connected development every day. EIE every day. Yaga Africa every day. They're on TV, they're on radio. In fact, on our station in Abuja, Something Isodo is there almost every week. So tell me, where is the problem coming from?
Thank you so much. So I think some of these solutions need to be domesticated at the local level, at the rural areas. So,
sorry to butt in. I'm sure that if Foundation for Collective Impact had gone to one locality in Ijegun or something, people would just be looking at you people and they'll be passing. The young people, they will even be playing ball beside you like this.
You're right.
It's almost like they can't connect.
You're right. So I think it's a mix of so many things. First and foremost, societies should begin now to look at innovations, adaptability strategies that are that they can leverage technology to do these things, right? So, for instance, you mentioned follow the money, for instance, one of the tools that Code uses. That's a connected development. You talked about Yaga Africa and some of the way they break these things down. Budget, for instance, you use visualization models, to simplify budgetary allocations. You're right. So people can look at it from states to the federal level, even to your constituency project. Now, the thing is that partly we won't blame Nigerians so much, because the years of militarization has actually bastardized our psyche as a people. So these days there is a huge disconnect. People are practically not interested anymore as such, because the occasion where you've galvanized people, look at the 2023 experience. 70% of new voters were young people below the age of 35. My organization, I was here, I remember, before that election.
Yes, you were here.
We made frantic efforts. You see, these days, for instance, we are not about the noise on social media, what have you. Our developments have human faces. Our interventions are directly at the grassroots level. And that's why I'm advocating that civil society organizations should make sure that the people at the local level, local representatives of the people, should be part of designing and implementation of their programs. Right? It should be less of the noise on social media. Of course, social media analytics and all these tools are important when you draw your programs, but give them a human face. That's one. Two, it is also very important for civil society organizations, to change the model of funding, right? Rather than make it donor based, let people take ownership of this process. Let me give an instance. There's a model I'm working on right now with my team. I have a representative at the national level. We've got about 13 officers. I'm the president. We've got 774 state coordinators.
Oh, really?
Yes. And then we are now going into the ward level, 8,850 ward coordinators, and then we get to 176,864 polling unit coordinators. Right. I'm going into politics, maybe not yet, but this is what we want to do. Imagine we mobilizing young people, youth and students, 200 polling units, and you have 176,864. That gives you 36 million. This recent election, it was only 25 million Nigerians that participated. That is the lowest voter turnout we've had in our democratic experience since 1999.
And it wasn't because there were no awareness. It wasn't because there were no voter education.
Thank you. Because what really happened was that because we have weaker institution, INEC sold out the day. INEC destroyed that process. A lot of young people who were, mobilized, who were very enthusiastic about the process for the first time, who participated. INEC dished their hope. The process was going on smoothly until when they decided to put on their whatever, the high rev and what have you. And then what we heard was technical glitch here and there, But the state government election came 2 weeks after then, and the whole process was smooth. So you can see deliberate attempt by the institutions to sabotage, to disenfranchise the people. But that is why I said the focus for civil society organization must begin to change.
The strategy must change. It must evolve.
It must not be, it mustn't be reaction. It must move from reaction to strategy. It must move from protest to solutions. For instance, what I just discovered with the model. So if you have an app, and then you tell the student community, download this app, get 1 gig data, and everybody has to be there. Private partnership must be there.
So hold, Dr. Egbele, just hold on a bit. We're going to go on a quick break. Please, I don't want you to forget that app thing. I'm very, very interested in that strategy. Lagos will be right back. Stay here with us, please.
More conversation, more talk, more. Right after this.
I don't know, man. These days, all you hear is save, invest, save, invest. Wait, how do you guys find this money? Is it not someone that is settled who have money to save and invest? And even if I manage to invest or save, the interest rates are so low. And one can lose money in all these crypto, NFT, blockchain, and so on.
Introducing Fund 724,
It's a simple solution to all your money goals. With as low as 1,000 naira or that urgent 2K in your pocket, you can start saving with Fund 724 and earn solid returns on your investment. And you can withdraw your money from your account for free. Anytime you like, just dial *724# on your mobile phone and follow the prompts.
Oh, so no need to download an app or join a long queue.
Dial *724# now to get started. Fund 724 is available 24/7. Guarantee Trust Fund Managers is a subsidiary of Guarantee Trust Holding Company PLC and regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
What you're about to taste is so hot, it's got basket mouth singing.
Mini Ninja Pepe flavor. Yeah. Mini Ninja Pepe flavor. Correct. Heat.
Mini Ninja flavor.
Nothing brings the heat like the bold taste of Mini Me Noodles Niger Pepper flavor. Try it today and see for yourself. Mini Me Noodles Niger Pepper flavor. Slap it like it's hot.
Relax, Mama. I go clean all this your white clothes sharply.
I beg no be to just clean oh. Use hypo, comot all the stubborn stains.
Yes, so no grief for stains. Whiten your white with hypo.
One day now, one day. Walk no rest deep. Say you still fit go on holiday. Make you know they complain. Retire in grand style. Make it worth your while. Choose a partner that won't stress you out. Let's shape your future. Access ARM is working for you. Access ARM is investing for you. To live a life that you dream for you. We don't go for your hand.
Let's help you shape the future you deserve. Access ARM Pensions. Future shaping.
All right, class, settle down. Today, let's talk about how you started your day.
We got dressed and had pancakes with John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate for breakfast.
My mom makes John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate for us too.
My mom calls it instant goodness. My sister and I always put it inside our pap. It's so yummy.
John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate is a chocolate drink made of rich cocoa, milk, and sugar. Available nationwide in stores. John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate. Enjoy instant goodness.
Things no dey easy, but we continue to dey move. For Total Energies, we don dey innovate for over 70 years to take give una the ogbonge quartz engine oil wey dey protect your car and SUV engine dem. Con dey improve the performance and help the use of fuel for your motor. Quartz dey for every type of engine, whether na petrol or diesel, hybrid or even electric motor. E dey make sure say engine dey perform well and dey last well. And it also help reduce smoke because the work of quartz engine oil now to protect the emission control system. Save more as you maintain your motor with quartz engine oil so that your engine go tanda giriba. Can last long. Experience Total Energies premium engine oil through the years.
Kitchen game, there are players and then Agba Ballers, MVP, Player of the Year, 10-0, no rival. Become an Agba Baller with the new improved Maggi chicken flavor, made with a flavorful formation of onions, celery, turmeric to bring out your top game in the kitchen. Elevate the taste of your everyday dishes with delicious rich chicken flavor. Oh yeah, let's go.
New Maggi chicken flavor. My game changer. What can your bank do for you?
Meet Jane, 25 years old. She's been having troubles acquiring a loan from her bank.
This is not okay at all. I've been on this queue forever, and you're saying I should fill another form. What's going on?
What can your bank do for you?
Meet Frank, 27 years old, held up in traffic and making fruitless transactions.
Mama, I am saved the airtime, even the electricity charges. I don't know why it's so difficult making this payment.
Introducing Safri, a lifestyle digital bank that's designed just for you. With one click, you can make easy and fast payment transactions, pay bills, and even acquire easy loans. Hurry and download the Safri app on your Play Store or visit safrisafri.com for more information. Safri, borderless banking.
Start your day and have a good time. Kivo Creamer. Where you need to have the break time. Kivo Crema. Nati, Papa Garita. Kivo, Crema. Kivo, Crema.
Little body, big moves. Little brain, big learning. Your little child is eager to do big things. Every sachet of Cerelac Junior comes with the nutrition they need: natural grains, protein, and iron to support their physical growth, learning, and development. So you can fully enjoy your little one's big moments of growth.
My ions, please, can't get enough. My ions, please, give it to me now. It gon' rehydrate you, yeah. Replenish ions with Pocari Sweat. Rehydrate you faster, easily observe. Pocari Sweat, give me some more. Pocari Sweat.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
You're listening to Jimi Disu, right here on 9.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back. This is the Daily Digest with Jimi Disu. I'm Sheriff Quadry. This conversation this morning is that type of conversation that I'd love to have because what it does is it reawakens our consciousness to what matters, not distractions that we have these days. It's almost like, Yoruba will say that Tigiba Vule Gori Alama Okongbe. But now distractions are so much that we would go to the lower Iggy to go and want to be dragging it out. I mean, how are we going to do that? So many things. Meanwhile, the impact, the role of society in any country, just go and check. In any country, you cannot underestimate their impact. And we must be able to start that conversation to at least bring our consciousness back to the point where we'll be able to have enough patience. Like my guest said, we're not even interested in whatever civil society organizations are doing it now. They have everything. If they've simplified everything to the point that you can just download an app and know who got the contract to fix your road. That's how simple it's become now. All to the efforts of civil society organization or the civil society space. The same thing for health. They will just take medical outreaches to the hinterlands, the remotest parts of it, and they will give people free health care. But what's their voices like? What's the impact like? I will come to the telephone line. Don't worry, we'll come to the telephone lines. But let me allow my guest to land on the strategies that he has been sharing with his colleagues in the civil society space. He had spoken about how, they should move away from, what do you call that thing? Social media,
activism.
Yeah. Activism and protest to.
Yes, and then move away from, not focused programs, that's donor-based interventions to community-rooted impact. Let the community be part of the designing of your programs and the implementation. You don't just foist the program on them. For instance, you get to a community. Some communities, it is access to basic healthcare needs. They some areas it is water that is a problem.
That's right.
Some it is road. Some it is access to the market. So you should be able to, once they are part of, let them take ownership of your intervention. What we call the 3 I's: your initiative, the industry, gather people together. Let them find out what exactly is their priority. Let the communities prioritize. So when we get to this community this year, for instance, sometimes last year, Q4 2024, we were in a community in Ondo State, and then we discovered that in 3 different communities, what people want differ, right? In the place they want health center, So we're able to mop up some funds because ours is self-funded. Like, you know, so some of our colleagues in diaspora, a few of us here, we do our businesses, and part of our social corporate responsibility, you know, we donate or commit 10% of our
total revenue
at the end of the year after tax, you know, to such efforts, right? So what we do is, in a community, we did 1,000 screening in 3 different villages or town, let me say, for women to identify breast screenings, you know, screening.
Yeah.
You know that we have less of gateway breast cancer, gateway for breast cancer in Nigeria. There are only 4 cancer centers in the whole of the country to serve 220 million people. So the first thing is to even screen, and breast cancer is like the highest right now, followed by cervical cancer, then prostate cancer. So these are some of the interventions. So it is not just even about providing, you know, the testings or investigations. Let us even screen, and we discover that when you screen 1,000 women, close to 40% of them have some, you know, predisposing factors to cancer, and then we're able to now refer them to gateways managers who can manage them and take them to these centers. So these are some of the interventions. For instance, you go to communities, you find that child and maternal health is very, very poor, and at that level, you actually want to do, apart from the basic vitals, you want to provide, you know, donate medications to them, be you anti-malaria, be you drugs for ulcer, painkillers, what have you. Because these areas, communities, rural people do not have primary health center that is functioning. So imagine if we go back to the concept of nation building. How do we start? We call it Council of State or Council of, you know, State, COG. Gather the interventions. You've provided healthcare here. You've provided borehole here. You've provided this here. Then next 3 communities like that in a local government together. Let them be a model. So that for government to now see, since they have decided to be irresponsible, let the civil society do its job, and then let them see the model that the CSOs are doing. Back to the model I was sharing with you.
Yes, the app.
Yes, the app. So what we're doing currently is, if we're able to mobilize 200 youth and students per polling unit in the 176,864 polling units in Nigeria, that gives us 36 million. And then on that app, there's so many outside attractions. Things are very attractive for the youth, right? There's going to be opportunity for student exchange, cultural exchange, some those who want to you know, sports and all of that. It will be there. SMEs that want funding, interventions like that, it will be there. Those who want diaspora funding, those who want to, you know, foreign direct investment, all of this will be there. Then we are also asking private entities, internet service providers, fintechs want to sponsor this. If a student in Unilag or Yabatech understands that if he downloads the app and, you know, he gets like 10 gig data, they want to download that, and he knows he has all these features, movies and all those things on it. They get involved. But the center message, the messaging has to be right, is we are preaching or putting to them that nation building, that a new Nigeria is still possible. The reason why we are where we are today is that that critical mass of people that you need to build Nigeria are not there. That consciousness of, you know, the Nigerian project that Nigerians prayed for, work for, like the Americans who say God bless America. That concept that the Nigerians can, that consciousness of believing in a new Nigeria that is possible, that is what we need to do. And if there's anything I must give to this current administration that I have seen, is actually a rebirth of the orientation agency.
That's
you
right.
now see quite a lot of visibility.
They have some campaigns running. Yeah.
So these are the things that we should sustain, you know, and civil society organizations should help the NOA in domesticating these messages at the grassroots level.
Shouldn't the NOA be the one reaching out to, galvanizing, mobilizing civil society organizations, whether they are for your government or they are not for your government? You all are in the business of one thing, the Nigerian dream. So shouldn't there be a working relationship, a healthy one, amongst between the NOA and the civil society?
It should be both ways. If what matters is, if what is important is the Nigerian dream is at the center of the whole thing, whether it is the NOA, like they say in Yoruba, if either Mohammed comes to you or you go to Mohammed. So if the NOA is not coming to the CSO, CSO should go to the NOA. What's important is Mr. Isa Onilu, Larry Isa Onilu. I think he's doing a fantastic job. We should all encourage. I think the last time we had this kind of visibility was under Dora Kweli during the Buy Nigeria, Go Nigeria,
yeah,
things like that. So I think we should sustain this kind of thing. But all we know is that in our lifetime, a new Nigeria must emerge, and all efforts by the political leadership of the country to suppress, to shrink that space, continually be resisted, because at the end of the day, the will of the people is what matters. Will prevail.
Right. Let me open up the telephone lines and speak with Nigerians. Before you hear people say, I must join this group, I must join not political group, I'm talking about the civil society, because they can see and they can connect. But along the line, at some point, people stopped caring about the civil society. They stopped believing in the civil society. That's why you would have this disconnect, between the civil society and the people. And who drives civil society? The people themselves. But now you don't have people who will say, I'm interested in what this particular CSO is doing, or that particular CSO is doing, and I want to be a part of what they are doing. I remember very, very vividly, people used to yearn to belong to this, but now it's almost like, if you don't even pay them, don't even go near. If you're not going to pay somebody to come and do something for you in their community, don't even try to talk to them. They'll just look at you like this. It's almost like they're on their own. Everybody is on their own. That's where we visualize things now. But let me open the telephone lines up. Let's hear from Lagos on what they think could possibly cause a change, a radical change. Because whether we like it or not, the civil society, the voice of the civil society is almost the loudest. It's almost the strongest. It's almost the most feared. Because when civil societies, when they speak, they practically echo what the people are saying. So everybody listens to them. 0201 2770 993. That is 0201 2770 993. Female only line is 0201 465 7190. That is 0201 465 7190. WhatsApp number is 0809 597 5805 on WhatsApp. That is 0809 597 5805. Please turn off your radio if you're calling us. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ogashari.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. I think prior to 2015, civil society was very strong. Very, very strong. But after 2015, most of them were brought over by this present administration. I think this party. So for people to trust them again, it will be very, very difficult. So because, sincerely speaking, I can tell you one-on-one some few individuals who were really, really loud, especially in Lagos. But this, prior to 2015, organization, so for people to get the trust back, that will take a very long time.
It will take some time.
But for me, no problem. Let's see how it goes. We'll watch from afar. Because everywhere seems like when you gather them again now, it looks as if you are going to work for the interest, because we know people that took advantage of civil liberty, all these CSOs. We know people that took advantage of it. Thank you. This is Pastor Ladipo.
Pastor Ladipo, thank you so much for your thought. I mean, what he said, I was going to ask you that question anyway, but let me take this call. Let's see who we've got here. Good morning to you. Good morning. The call dropped. So let me quickly just drop this question. I was going to ask you the question about proliferation of CSOs in the civil society space. And what he said was quite right. A lot of Nigerians felt betrayed at some point because you now find civil society organizations endorsing political candidates, running campaigns for political candidates. You find politicians masquerading to be a civil society people, and at the end of the day would mobilize for it. So people felt betrayed. People felt like, the politicians have now infiltrated. Look, let's be honest, they've infiltrated the traditional space, they've infiltrated the religious space, everywhere. The politicians, they are everywhere. They put your traditional chief there, they put your Oba there, they are just everywhere. So people felt that, look, like I'm a handle things by ourselves these days. So how can that be corrected?
Thank you so much. So, in order to, I quite understand where Pastor Ladipo. I know he's a very familiar voice in this space. I quite understand what he's talking about and also your assertion. But you see, the point is, we will not give up because of a few bad eggs here and there. The civil society space and every civil society organization there is still a microcosm of this larger society itself. So you keep having bad people everywhere where you go. Part of the major challenge where this mistrust where it's coming from is the source of funding. So when you allow politicians to hijack what you do, imagine since when the last time I came here, we've been talking about this our project of trying to do this mobile app, have 200 people putting in blah blah blah. Do you know why we've not gone? Because we've not gone to any competition. We want to go cap in hand with them. When we sponsored the Vision 4040, that we said 40% affirmative action for people that are below the age of 40 in this country. We took it through my personal funds and all that. All that we've done, 70% of them have been from my personal resources. The government during Buhari, the registered organizations like us that had the name National Youth Student Movement, they delisted them. They didn't want them. You remember the NGO bill regulation in the National Assembly and what have you? So, but did we stop? No. So if your source of funding is from, if you go capping out with politicians, it's compromised, there's going to be a problem. If your agendas are set by donor organizations, especially international organizations, once there's a shift of focus from what they want the funds to be used for, people will see it as you have changed loyalty. Or that so because, for instance, a donor can just wake up and say, our funds is for child and maternal health. You dare not do any other thing. But you imagine if, on the contrary, and that's why I said people should shift from, reactions to strategy. Let your members, let the locals take ownership of what you do in your civil society organizations. Let them be part of the designing process and the implementation. Let the funding come from within, from your membership base. So right now we're moving to culture. For instance, if we have 36 million through that app, and then we're able to sell that to Nigerians, imagine if they donate 100 naira each every month to that project, because they now trust you. They now have a sense of ownership. It is our own. We are not building this around the personality. That's the challenge with the effort by Obedience in 2023, for instance, because it was personality driven, because all of the effort was around Mr. Peter Obi, and you saw where he left. Of course, it was a very good outing. It was a fair outing. Maybe he didn't really give there, but it shows that now youth can do it, especially those who are coming into that.
It shows that youth can do it.
So what we want to do right now is that it should be less of personality coalition, just like whatever they are doing right now with the new coalition in town. It should be less of personality coalition. It should be more of issue-based coalition. Alliances that are time-bound, relating around specific areas. You want to talk about maybe, for instance, police accountability, electoral reforms. This is the time we should be talking about electoral reforms. We shouldn't wait 2026.
Right.
We know that Beavers and IREV, which ought to be a factor in that election, didn't really give us much. This is a time for us to now begin to talk to our state assemblies and the federal lawmakers to make sure that what happened 2023 doesn't happen again. Look at something for it. Then, thirdly, to stop this mistrust, society should leverage on technology. prior to 2011, what we had was high astronomical numbers in terms of election. We had 67 million people before 2015 total registered voters. Those who participated in that election was barely about 43% of that population. That's about 29 million. Okay, then we move into 2029. The registered voters increased to about 84 million. Yet, voter turnout dropped to 27 million. That's about 34%. Then 2023, it increased further. Registered voters increased to 93 million. Voter turnout reduced to 25 million. Use of technology. Why? Because technology has not been able to show that quite most of these numbers, the bandit are they are not actually real. So we now need to convert that online activism. It's not just enough for Nigerians to yearn, to shout on social media. We should convert them into electoral politics, into some outcomes that are very
to be very fair, Dr. Elegbele, the civil society space. I don't look. Civil society did a wonderful job in educating the voting public. They were everywhere in the media. They even had programs, special programs, voter education programs. But like you said, what eventually happened? Voter turnout was still low. What could be the problem then?
That's because of the weak institutions. I was coming to that because we have weak institutions like INEC, like the police and all that, who are supposed, because at the end of the day, civil society doesn't have prosecutorial power.
They don't have
They cannot prosecute.
Power, yeah.
So, but where you see the impact of civil society is, like I just told you, from 67 million registered voters in 2015, we moved to 84 million 2019, we moved to 93 million. If we sustain that pace, because the first thing is a game of number, you need to first bring people, gather a lot of people first, before you now talk about the number that will now be fully involved. So at the front end, now we're bringing a lot of people into the net. We now, where we need to put more effort, is now deliberate attempt to see, it is not just about bringing you into electoral politics. You must vote. You must make sure your vote counts. And then we should leverage technology. As we use technology to bring them in, there should be technology to monitor, to do follow-ups. Then when you do your programs, your interventions, you should have community-based representatives who will then do follow-up so that it will be sustainable. And that's why I said ab initio that civil society's organization should now be run like a proper business. Because nobody wants his business to fail. So you should run it with that model, put all your ESG into it. You want to be very sure that that model is sustainable, with or without you. Don't do it. Don't be the person at the center of the. Make it issue based. Let people take ownership. Let them take ownership. Let the members, let Nigerians take ownership of the society. But if you source of your funding, for instance, is from politically exposed persons, is from international organizations that are also complicit in our environmental programs, you're going nowhere.
Dr. Israel Elegbeleye, it's been great, and I hope that the civil society listened to this show this morning, and I hope this would trigger some form of action, some form of collective action in that space, so we can have our civil society space back, vibrant, ever active, 24/7. They don't stop working soon. They're always on the move to make sure, because there's this thing that used to drive society, and that is the dream, the Nigerian dream. We may not be saying it and shouting it over the radio, but they know amongst themselves that there is a way that Nigeria should be run. Nigeria has to be run that way, and this is the result that we yearn for, and we must make sure that that result comes to fruition. Dr. Israel Elegbeleye, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sheriff, for having me.
Many thanks, Dr. Israel Elegbeleye, the convener, Foundation for Collective Impact. Would have you here some other time to talk more about some other society issues. I'm Sheriff Quadry. What's Up Lagos is next on Nigeria Info 99.3. Good morning to you.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.